Ahoy and welcome to this Narrowboat adventure. This is part one of building a solo roof box. We're going to be building the top part and the legs today, and first of all we have to start by going and buying all the things that we need, so all the wood and everything like that. We're going to be using some decking because it comes pre-treated, and well, you'll see the rest as we go. Here we are getting the wood onto the roof. Thankfully the DIY shop wasn't too far and we could bring the wood back on the back of a bicycle. So here we are measuring the legs of the previously made solar panel box, and we measured those legs from the height of our planter, which was just the size of 2 pallets, and we knew that that could go under bridges, so that's the size that we're sticking with. And so Seb is a dab hand at DIY, and of course just measured the leg from the first leg for all the remaining legs. I am not so much of a dab hand at DIY, so you'll notice my sawing doesn't look quite so professional, and that may well be a running theme in this video, to be honest. But you've got to give it a go, because if you don't try then you'll never get any better. This shot is just to show you the beautiful woodwork, just the knots and the pattern on the top of the wood there. I just think they're absolutely gorgeous. And for this part you just measure the solar panel, so you measure the pieces of wood to the size of the solar panel, and then you've got the exact right size. So here I'm just trying to figure out which way round I want the wood so that we can see the lovely pattern of the wood before we start attaching the legs. Very carefully to make sure that that nice wood pattern remains on the top. So we use a hand drill here just to make some pilot holes before we start screwing in with our screws. So we used screws that are for decking, as well as using decking wood for making this box, simply because they're pre-treated and they're not going to go rusty because they're made to be outside. So that's the 2 legs attached, and so when we do the ones from the other side, I thought I'd give you this cool angle because they look pretty good. So this part is slightly easier. It becomes a little bit more difficult when you're attaching the second piece of wood to the leg, because then you've got to deal with the fact that if you're doing it on your roof it's curved and you've got to find a way around that angle. So you see what we've had to do here is to balance it so that it would be on the flat part. And we were holding it in for this first time, and that was quite difficult because the screw was pulling it away from the leg. So we ended up using a clamp. The other thing you have to be aware of is that you need to be careful that the screws aren't going to hit each other, so you need to stagger them a little bit. And then this is what it looks like when we had our first end attached. And then we're going to come around and do the other side. You'll notice Seb's being really careful to have it quite far down the leg so that there's no room to hit the other screws. And that lovely wood pattern on the top. And when we've got it completed, we took it over here to get it ready to go underneath the solar panel. And once it's in place, we notice we have these wires we need to deal with. So we need to unscrew what we've previously done so we can move those wires inside the box, and because the bottom of the box isn't going to be completely covered, we'll be able to just thread them underneath. So here you can see me just threading them through. Of course there will be a floor to the box, but that will come in part 2 of this video. And then we're just going to use the previous holes that we there to thread those screws right back in. I feel like I've said through screws quite a lot in this video. Now it's time to attach the hinges. So because the hinges are going to be bolted, we start off with a smaller and then we use a larger drill bit so that we can get the bolts in. And then on the other side we're going to put in a washer and a nut. Very soon we get to do the fun bit, which is power tools. So we're going to now start to make holes in the aluminium part of the solar panel. So we're using the lower ones because we want to avoid damaging the solar panels as much as we can. Now this bit took a really long time, even with the power tool. So we ended up using quite a few different drill bits to try and get this this hole started. As you can see at this point, I've cut out some stuff and we've barely even made a dent. Just hardly anything. But then we do finally, eventually, start to make some progress. And then we can get the bolt in there too. Now it's a little bit more difficult to get a washer on here, so we did just use a nut. Of course, it was getting a little bit dark at this point, so we had to continue filming the next day, and here is the finished product, or at least the first half of the finished product. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed part 1. If you'd like to join us on this narrowboat adventure for further adventures and even part 2, you can click subscribe. You can also pop on over to Facebook, where I post the videos there also, because I know that the subscription box can be a bit funny on YouTube at times. So thanks very much for watching and take care. Bye!